Okay guys, what I'm going to do here is make a gradient blend for a background. I want you to take a look at that. We're going to make this 8.5 by 11, even though it's kind of big for what it's going to ultimately become. We'll just call it that for now. Okay, so there's a couple of things that you can do if I was going to make a wintry background scene. Let's start with some stars, some background items. So we're going to take this and not choose black, but instead a very dark blue. And that will become the sky that's going to be up in here. Once I have that down, then on the same layer I can use my paintbrush and I can choose a couple of different things here, a couple different options here. If I get my paintbrush going and I make that, oops, I was going to want to select off of that. Alright, now I'll go to white, paintbrush. I've got a couple choices here, but I can also add quite a few things on here. For this, I think I'm going to do the paintbrush over here. And you'll see on my brushes, there's quite a few choices here. And anytime I click on one of these, it's going to get added. See, there it is. So I use that one and that one. We'll go with this guy right here. And see, that's a little on the large side, so just bear with me. What I'm going to do is actually make a little, yes, cloud looking things. So this is one way you can make clouds. I'm just kind of going over it several times in a row. Alright, that seems to be pretty good. Now I'm going to want to group them together. So in order to grab these properly, I'm going to need my layers panel so I can lock this guy down. Then I can grab just these guys, group them together. I can quickly grab these guys, group them together, and then grab these guys, group them together. There's a couple here that aren't in there, so I'm going to have to manually put them in. There. Now I got them. Alright. A couple loosey-goosey ones over here I'm going to get rid of. I don't know what they are, but I don't need them. Okay, that's good. Okay, so that's a quick way you can make clouds. And of course, once these are grouped, you can resize them pretty quickly, but you gotta be careful with that. I like them pushed together a little bit like this. Okay. Stars. For stars in the night sky here, there happens to be a symbol that you can use. You go to nature, I think it is. Snowflakes. Oh, that's what I meant to say, snowflakes. So I can go to my symbol sprayer and put some snowflakes out there. And I'm going to want these to be on the small side. So I'll put a couple out and then I will shrink them down. So you see those. But did you know that there's something really cool you can do with symbols? And that is click and hold, and I can shift, scrunch, can screen. So I'm going to shift, and I can click and move these physically away from one another. I can also do a spinner. What that does is it makes sure they're not all facing the same way. And finally, size them down. Hold down Option, maybe bring them over here, maybe flip this one upside down so it doesn't look like a duplicate exactly. There we go. Now these will double as stars if I move them really down and take out a couple of them. You can use these as stars if you want to. Okay, so let's get back to my layers. I'm going to lock these all down. And then let's do some gradient for the hillside in the background. Now, we learned about gradient blends and gradient mesh, and now I'm going to show you a new one called envelope, an envelope distort. So I'm going to take a box, a rectangle, and apply a gradient to it. And then I will get it a kind of a darker color than white. Yeah, I think maybe the lighter color up on top. Alright. There we go. You get a lighter shade on top. Now this looks like a very boring flat horizon. So what you're going to do is this new thing called a envelope distort. You can do that under Effect, Warp, and you have lots of choices here. So I'll bring up Flag, and you can kind of see what it does there, and you can mess with these settings. But what I'm getting is a nice hillside right here. I can also distort on the horizon. Probably don't want to mess too much with this one. That looks kind of dumb. But this one's kind of cool. I think I like that one. Maybe a little less bend there. Alright, and then I'll bring this down so it's off the edge. There we go. Now I can take this exact same thing, copy and paste it, and maybe just flip it around entirely. Notice what it does. It stays the exact same because it's the envelope distortion that matters. So if I want to mess with this, then I need to go to my appearance down here if I want it to be distorted the other way. Oops, preview is always good. I always want it to be, train my eyes to look at that. Maybe make my bend go a little bit the other way. And then hit OK. And then I'm going to set this one on top of the other. Now I have the beginnings of a nice little hill. If it's in the distance, it's going to be darker, right? So probably I'm going to flip these around so I have a darker hillside in the background. and a lighter hillside in the foreground. So we can move this down, maybe move this one down. So now I have some darker hills that I used using the envelope distort. So this is one way that you can get a nice background going, nice hillside. So play with this. At this point you can really have some fun adding some other items like little snowman that we were messing with. Light, radial, there we go, that's what I meant to do. And then we'll get him a little bit off because you want it reflecting from the stars up here. So you want that blue to be down underneath. And then since you might want to be a little melty, we'll pull these guys down just a little bit. There. That looks pretty good. It's really reflecting off of the stars. So I'll take him, make a duplicate, copy and paste, get them lined up, hold down my Option button while I shrink them down, maybe Shift as well. There we go. And finally his head. Maybe not hold down Option, maybe I'll make him a little bit lumpier, a little bit different looking. Okay. Now I have a snowman. Still not exactly right though. For one, he's too far up on this hill. Definitely want to bring this down some. And for two, don't really have any kind of a shadow thing right here. So let me show you how to do that also. I know I said I was going to do a gradient gradient mesh, but I think this is a better blend tutorial, so that's what I'm going to name it. Sorry if it was confusing. But it's good for backgrounds, right? I'm going to copy all these, paste all of them. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my friend Mr. Pathfinder, join them all together. Why? Because we need a shadow. Flip them upside down, and I'm going to shear him. Put a shear angle at maybe 15%. More. 35%. A little bit more. 40%. There we go. And now this obviously does not look like a shadow. So I want this to be linear. I want it to start at black. And then I want it to go to transparency. So I'll start it in black and go to transparency. Now this might take a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of doing. Okay, now that doesn't have to stay like that. That can be opaque. There we go. And then finally, I want them obviously underneath my snowman.